Hi there, it's me again, and today I want to talk about project scope. Remember in my previous video I spoke about project management triangle where we have schedule, budget, and scope. You probably could guess what schedule or budget mean, right? Scope, however, is not as obvious. So let's look into this a little bit further and try to demystify this mystery. Let's consult project management body of knowledge. According to PMBOK, scope is the work that needs to be accomplished to deliver a product, service, or result with the specified features and functions. So, what this means is scope is everything that will be done as a part of the project, as well as, and sometimes it's even more important, things that will not be done as part of the project. Let's say your project is to make a pizza from scratch. Let's call it Project Pizza. On a high level, your scope will include the following: make dough, prepare toppings, and bake the pizza. But what if you don't have all the ingredients at home? Like you don't have the flour or the cheese? In this case, you might want to include a visit to a grocery store or an online order for groceries in your scope. Ah, gotcha, you will say. But this is not it yet. Do you actually know what kind of pizza you're making? Is it deep dish or thin crust? Do you know what size pizza you're making? Is it an individual small pizzas? Is it medium size or is it a large size pizza? What sauce are you going to use? Barbecue or regular pizza sauce? What toppings? Mushrooms, spinach, anything else? What cheeses? And so many other questions that need to be clarified before the project can start. It's very important to clarify all the requirements like this in the beginning of the project because they will determine the whole course of the project. In order to keep track of all these requirements, a project manager creates a document called Project Scope Statement. Typically, it includes several sections, including project objective, what's in scope, where the project manager outlines the job that will be done as a part of the project. What's out of scope? It's self explanatory, things that are not going to be done as a part of the project. For example, you're not planning to clean up the oven after you bake the pizza because you plan to do it at the end of the week as a part of your bigger cleanup effort. Dependencies. So let's say your mom is planning to make an apple pie and the oven will not be available for some time. So you have to take that into consideration when planning your project. Assumptions. In case you decided to order those groceries online, you'd have to assume that they will be delivered by the time you're planning to start making the pizza. Now, what does the project manager have to do with all this? Well, I already mentioned that the project manager creates the project scope statement, right? But let's look into this one by one. In the beginning of the project manager plans scope management, meaning how the scope will be managed, how requirements will be collected, how it will be validated, how it will be tracked, etc. Next, the project manager collects requirements from the stakeholders. This means getting answers to those questions that we asked earlier, like what kind of pizza we're making, what toppings, what sauces, and all of that. The project manager can do it themselves if it's a smaller project, or they can use the help of a business analyst to collect requirements. Next step is defining the scope. Based on the information the project manager receives at this stage, they try to put it all together into a nice narrative. This is where the project manager creates the project scope statement that includes all the information: what's in scope, out of scope, dependencies, and assumptions. After that, the project manager creates work breakdown structure, or WBS. This is where the project manager breaks down into smaller steps all those higher level steps that we discussed in the beginning, right? Like making the dough, breaking it down into steps like add flour into bowl, add water, add egg, mix it all together, knead the dough, that will be the work breakdown structure for our pizza project. After that, the project manager needs to validate the scope. It means get confirmation from the stakeholders that the project manager understood everything correctly and documented it correctly. And the next step that continues throughout the whole project is controlling the scope. This is where the project manager makes sure that the team stays focused on what's in scope and avoids scope creep, meaning doing something that was not in the original scope. But don't you worry, you're not stuck with that pizza, with that scope. It only means that any change will have to go through a change control process where the impact of this change on other elements of the triangle, like budget and schedule, will be assessed and a decision will be made on whether this change is approved and should be included on the scope or not. So, this is it from me today. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments section. I will be happy to answer them. And I hope to see you in my next videos. Thank you. Bye.